Hello and welcome to Fight Day Focus. We are the final word before the combat sports leader ignites the fight mecca, Madison Square Garden in New York City. In just a few hours' time, 2 pieces of UFC gold will be on the line, and I am delighted to be joined in studio by undefeated UFC heavyweight Mick Parkin. Yes! We will also be joined a little bit later by former world's strongest man Eddie Hall. But first, Tom Aspinall will be taking on Sergei Pavlovich for interim heavyweight gold. Yesterday, Tom exclusively caught up with Megan O'Leary. Let's hear what he had to say.
What's the reaction when you get the phone call to be able to have the opportunity of your dreams, which is fight for the heavyweight world title, but it's on less than 3 weeks' notice?
My first reaction is yes, absolutely. Say yes now, ask questions later.
With so much power, we often ignore the grappling prowess that you possess. In terms of going to the canvas, is that something that you can foresee?
If the takedowns are, I'll take it. You know, I never really have like a strong, solid game plan. I'm always like just flowing and seeing what comes. So if the takedown's there and I feel I can get it, I'll go for it. And if not, I'm happy to stand with them as well.
We are so excited for this matchup. It almost feels like it's a movie. Short notice, Madison Square Garden for the heavyweight world title. I mean, for you, is this what dreams are made of?
Absolutely. Like, I've dreamt about this since I was a small child. So absolutely, this is, as Michael Bisping told me, this isn't 2.5 weeks. This is the last 20 years of my life. So absolutely, I'm ready to take the opportunity. And one day, maybe they will make a movie about it. Who knows? Well,
Tom sounding calm and collected despite this big opportunity. I'm sure that you didn't think it'd sound any other way, Mick, but I feel like we need to set the table because this isn't just any old build-up to a title fight. It is coming on short notice, but I was actually lucky enough to come and see you guys training just last week, and you obviously have a big fight coming up. Yeah. So Tom was actually in the gym helping you out, wasn't he, when this news came through?
Yeah, Tom's amazing to train with. Even though he wasn't preparing himself for a fight, he done all the sparring with me, all the little finishes at the end, the hard stuff that he didn't have to do. So he was really helping me out. He was really pushing himself, even when he didn't have a fight himself. So I think he's still in tremendous shape. He always is. He doesn't take time off. He's always training. He's always willing to help me. Yeah,
and well, obviously now he's going to be kind of grateful that he's putting himself forward for his other teammates too, because the work that he's doing with you is going to translate into having that underlying fitness on the back of the Tabora fights. But what we all want to know is, when that call comes through to a camp that you're going to be fighting for UFC gold, like, what does that do to the vibe and the atmosphere?
Oh, it was amazing. So I think I trained with him on the Tuesday, and he was like, oh, I might have some news, but he wasn't sure himself. They just told him, can you fight in 2 weeks' time? Are you ready? And he was like, yeah. I think he was more excited than anything. He was like, I feel like I can beat anybody, and I agree with him on his day. He can beat anybody in the world. So I think he knew he was going for this anyway. So short replacement further down the line. This was going to happen anyway. So why not now?
Yeah, and he was scheduled to fight Sergei a couple of times before. Yeah. When you guys are making these kind of decisions on accepting fights, I know all of you will always say yes all of the time, but does it make it a little easier when you've given some thought to that opponent in the past?
Yeah, I remember going down helping Tom for a training camp when he was meant to be fighting Sergei, so he knew what he was good at, what things he would have to look out for before he'd obviously broke onto the scene and was like killing everybody. So I think he was preparing for him, so he knew roughly what he does. The way his fights have gone, they've always went one way, the way he fights, so I think he's easier to prepare for than maybe the other two opponents. So I think Tom never really worries about other people too much. I think it's always on himself because he's that good. I think they're good at this, look for that, and then just practice his game.
Feels like it's also a pretty quick rise as well compared to, you know, so if you're in the lightweight category, you can go on a 10-fight win streak and you still might not get that shot at gold. It's come quickly. Is he ready for everything that comes with being a UFC champion?
I think at heavyweight, originally he says, oh, I want to take my time, but once you start like knocking people out in the first round finishes, you beat a former champion, you can't really take your time. But I think I definitely think he's ready. I think he'd been ready like last year. I know he sorted his knee out, and ever since that happened, he said he felt a complete fighter. While before, he said he was training around the knee. A lot of things he was doing was because he had a dodgy knee. And now he was like, I've got 2 legs, I'm like even better. And then just his mental attitude from that, because it could have been a really depressing time for some people, that like a year off, stuff like that. But he's definitely like a freak athlete. I think within 2 weeks operation, he was like squatting down and bending his knees. So I think he's definitely a specimen, as well as like the mental attitude as well.
This opportunity echoes of Michael Bisping, Luke Rockhold. Do you guys feel like there's some kind of substance of Bisping in the air around this opportunity? Late notice at the Gold?
Yeah, I think it's amazing, like a fairy tale really, isn't it? I know Tom's close to Bisping and that, and he's been around him and trained with him. So I think it's perfect. I think it's a perfect setup. 2 weeks, sometimes that's better. You haven't got to, if you had been, say, 6 months' time, you've got loads of time to think about the world title fight, and that might get into your head. So maybe sometimes when it's like, you're fighting in 2 weeks, he hasn't got to think about all that. He's sparring good and everything, so I think he's ready, 100%.
Great stuff, Mick. Well, we go from talking about one superstar to speaking directly with one. Please give a warm welcome to Eddie Hall.
Hey guys, you okay?
Eddie, how are we doing?
I'm very good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, doing all right, thanks. Now, I don't know if you know this, but if you get to train or spar with a fighter within 4 weeks of their fight date, that actually makes you part of their fight team. So you're Team Aspinall.
Well, that's good to hear. So if he wins, it was literally because of me.
It's all about you today, Eddie. So for those that don't know, and I got to watch your YouTube video where you went down and you spent some time with Tom, what was that experience like?
A very humbling experience, I will be honest. You know, Tom is very deceptive. You know, he's very polite, very well-mannered, very low energy all the time. But, you know, he's obviously got just that amazing skill set that can pretty much put any man on the planet in their place. And I was fortunate enough to be one of those people.
Oh, good for you saying fortunate enough. I think you've taken it the right way. But give us an idea of that black belt squeeze then. How did it feel?
I sort of came in, this is like the first time I've ever done any grappling whatsoever. So I came in with this sort of mindset of, you know, my strength will get me out of some situations. By no means did I think, you know, I was going to get the better of Tom in anything. But I just thought there were some scenarios where perhaps, you know, well, you saw on the video, I'd get on top, I'd get a squeeze on. I was locked in tight, and it was like, there's no way on planet Earth anyone is getting out of that. And just a few little slips, a few little hand movements, and I was just like, wow, he could just get out of anything. No matter what you put on him, he can get out of it.
And as a long-time athlete, you know, Tom was talking you through the mechanics of a lot of stuff, and I think it goes under the radar. Like, what a good coach he is as well.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, no, he taught me, give me some little tips and tricks, and you know, just these little angles and little hand placements made such a big difference. And I don't know if you saw in the video, but I did actually choke him out, and he tapped. So,
of course we did. That was the highlight of the video, right?
Yeah, it was.
Now, you've crossed over. You have a very big audience. You've become a big star, and it's not an easy thing to do to make those leaps from sports into the mainstream. Do you think he's got the kind of elements that are needed to take his career in different directions?
I think the most important thing that I sort of picked up from being around Tom and it was the people around him. And that's the most important thing, is you've got to have the right people around you, the right people in your ear telling you what's right and wrong and guiding you. And that is, in my opinion, is what will take him all the way.
Love that. We've got to get some fight predictions from you, Eddie. How do you see it going?
I think Tom is going to win by a submission. That's how I see it going. I think Tom's going to get a submission.
The one that you taught him, the submission that you showed him, or something a little different?
I don't know. I mean, if he used that one, then, you know, obviously I'm going to take 100% credit for the win. I don't know what, but I just from being in Tom's reach and grasp, you know, obviously standing game's good. But I genuinely believe he's going to excel at the floor game, which is what his strengths are.
Lovely stuff. Eddie, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your thoughts. Hopefully we'll see you and Tom getting together again down the line in the future.
Yeah, maybe he can be lucky enough, and I'll teach him some more moves, eh?
Oh, that's very kind of you, Eddie. Thank you very much. Once again, let's have it for Eddie Hall. Brilliant stuff. I don't know if you can put that analyst's hat on us for us. And through your eyes, Tom Aspinall, Sergei Pavlovich, like, what are we looking at here?
I think at heavyweight, that's the fight everybody wanted to see. You've got Tom, fast, technical, and that Pavlovich, who's knocking everybody out, explosive. It's heavyweight, so definitely everybody's dangerous. I think Tom's better all-rounder than him. I think Tom could beat him on the feet and on the floor. but he's definitely dangerous. And I think the beginning of every round, I think you need to be on your bike, avoid them big shots.
Just like Pavlovich, Tom is a super fast starter. So when you put these two together, I mean, we're saying maybe take your time, but is there a world in which this even gets past the first round?
Well, I looked at the UFC, broke down the average fight times for both of them. I think they're both like 2 minutes, 12 seconds or something like that. So Bookie's favourites would be saying it's going to be an early finish, but I know Tom can go 5 rounds. That's what's impressive about him. He's not just like a fast twitch athlete where he fades off. I've seen him do 5 rounds, and he's like that in the 5th as well. So he can go the distance as well if he wanted.
One thing from my perspective, looking at guys like Tom and Sergei, like doing my tape study, if you will, not a lot of it. You know, sit down, 10 minutes. I've seen all of the fights of both of these guys. Does that pose challenges for you guys and for Team Aspinall when they're looking at Pavlovich? Like, what are the trends that we're seeing here?
Exactly. I think you can only look at what they've done in the fights, and he's going to be a fast starter. If he hits you, he goes for the finish. That's another thing. But the same was for Tom. Like, nobody knew he could grapple. Then he took down Volkov and submit him straight away. Sergei will have to be wary of Tom's takedowns as well, so that could maybe make him stand off a little bit more. But by watching his last fight, you've got to think he's just going to come straight forward and go for it.
Now, I've had the pleasure of speaking with Andy Aspinall, Tom's dad, and one thing that he says, and I know that it's echoed by Tom, is they always say it's heavyweight MMA, and you never know.
Yeah.
And I find it fascinating when he's talking about his son, and it's like every fight's a coin flip. Do you guys as heavyweights feel like it's almost a different sport and that it's always in the balance?
I always think, like, if I fought somebody off the street, another big guy, like the lighter guys with 90%, 95% win, I could fight a big guy and get hit and knocked out. That's what's different with heavyweight MMA. Sometimes not the best guy always wins and stuff like that, but I think that's why people like it. They don't go the distance often. It's usually a knockout. That's what people want to see. So I think heavyweight's a completely different fight. The techniques are different. The grappling's completely different. Everything's like a different sport.
Really? Okay. So how do you manage that then with the risk and reward? Because of course you're all going to have your own styles, and we all love the big knockouts, for example. But if you're super defensive, we're not going to get that. So what is it about your mindset, Tom's mindset, that allows you to go into the fray, stick your chin out a little bit so that we get a bit of excitement?
I think at first off, you've got to have belief in yourself for good defence, stuff like that. I think Tom knows how fast he is, so Tom's hitting people with 5 or 6 shots before they've even flung anything back. Like when you watch the Pereira fight, did he even hit Tom?
No, I don't think he did.
No. Like I was actually watching the fight. I thought myself I got kicked out because you're not allowed to stop in to watch the fight. So I was actually watching the pub. I think I turned away. The next thing I know, it was over. I was like, oh, missed it. I like watching it in the replay. So he's so fast, and I think that's what's good about him. He's in and out.
So Mick, you study the heavyweight division. You've obviously had eyes on Sergei Pavlovich. You are up close and personal with Tom Aspinall. How does this fight go down? Like the mechanics of the round. Like how does it start? What are the exchanges? How does it finish?
I would like to think they both come out a little bit nervous of each other. Obviously, Pavlovich is crazy powerful, but he hasn't seen anybody like Tom, the way he moves and speed. So it might be a slow start like KG. Obviously, Pavlovich might be worried about a takedown. I don't know how he'll see it. Or he might just think blast through him again. So it's either going to be a crazy fast start, I think, or it'll be a bit more KG-like, moving about, say what they're going to do.
Love it. Thank you very much. Well, we've been speaking about this co-main event, but of course we have the big headliner. It is for light heavyweight gold, and it features 2 of the most fascinating characters in mixed martial arts today. The former middleweight champion, Alex Pereira, against the former light heavyweight champion, Jiří Procházka. Our very own Megan O'Leary got to catch up with both men before the big fight tonight.
Facing Jiří Procházka, who once held the belt in this division. You now looking to have a belt in a second division. Tell me what the threats are with him. He's a very unique fighter, very dangerous on the feet, has a lot of weapons and tools.
Da forma que vai ser, eu não sei, mas vai ser lutão.
Well, every fight I'm aware of, and this one too, so he keeps me sharp. He's a guy that don't talk too much. He seems to be a very composed guy, and I know he's taking this serious, and I am too. So I've been training hard. I'm going to do everything that I can to take this belt.
In terms of yourself, what's your expectation? What do you hope to show to yourself there on Saturday night?
The most, to be better in stand-up, yeah? To be better in stand-up and in all these things, because he's a stand-up guy, and I like to face guys in their prime weapon. So that's the main point for me. But who knows? Like with Glover, yeah. After the fight with Glover, I stopped to expect something, yeah. I know what I want from the fight, but I'm open for every way to win.
All right, Mick, I don't know about you, but I mean, both fights are incredible, right? But this headliner for light heavyweights, we got two incredible characters here. I mean, which guy fascinates you most, Pereira or Prochazka?
Oh, they both seem to be crazy guys, but I'm fans of both. But I did like Pereira. Obviously, watched him on Glory Kickboxing when he was a kickboxer, and then his transition to MMA was like amazing. So I do love his style as well.
Did you see the rise of Jiří being quite as impactful and as fast as it has been?
When a guy like him jumps on, everyone sees his knockout, his crazy style, like his persona. So yeah, he just burst onto the scene. When you're doing all these crazy finishes, you're straight into the public eye.
And let's talk about his style as well, because it's super unique. Like, I don't think there's another fighter in the UFC that has the stance. He's got elements of like orthodox karate and jumping around. I mean, you'd know more about it than I will, but like, you look at him and do you ever think, oh, I think I could use some of those Jiří Procházka techniques?
I don't think I could use them. I think they're like, you would never teach them, but he does them so well. So I think, and it'd be so awkward to prepare for the way he fights, because who are you going to get to fight like that and spar against?
And then on the other side, Alex Pereira, as you said, you saw him coming over from kickboxing, and not everyone's been able to make that transition. So how impressed have you been to see him come over, get to the top very quickly and handle the very brightest lights and still do the MMA thing?
He did amazing. Obviously, at first, everyone, he fights a wrestler, he gets took down, but he's so huge. He just looks like he's strong as anything. When people were shooting at him, he just looks like he's manhandling them. Maybe he's a light heavyweight, it'll not be as easy for him because the guys are a lot bigger, but he could knock anybody out, I think.
Yeah, when he fought Jan Pavlovich, were you surprised at the way that he was able to meet Jan in the clinch situations where more power and strength is going to be needed?
Yeah, just how long has he trained realistically to catch up with these guys? It hasn't been a lot. Obviously, his striking's already up there. His wrestling, grappling probably is not, but he's got a great coach in Glover Tech's area, and he's like, he must just be hammering his wrestling. He knows what everyone's going to do to take him down, and his style is unique, the way he stands and everything. He's high guard, and then when he's in front of you, I think he's that big, he just walks people down. I think it's like, oh, you kind of get him out your face.
Yeah, yeah, and you speak about Glover. I mean, one of my favourite people in MMA, an absolute legend. You've got good people around you as well that have been through it. Like, how important is that for a fighter, not just a young fighter, even a veteran trying to make his mark, to have someone who's been through it all and preparing you, not just technically, but for everything else that comes with the fighting life?
I think it's massive to be, when you transition over to the UFC, you don't know what it's like. It's crazy, the crowd, the fans, everything. But I think if you've had somebody at the top of the game telling you what it's going to be like, what to expect, and then obviously for a technical aspect, he knew his striking's that good, people are going to want to take him down, and then it looks like he's doing really well.
Madison Square Garden is a really good hunting ground for Alex Pereira. I think he won his debut. Of course, he picked up the title there as well. As a fighter, do elements like that come into the grey matter as you're preparing for a fight? Potentially.
He's been there before. He'll know the change rooms, the walkout, everything. So he's like already done it all. He's been there, he's done it. So it definitely does help. Maybe he's calm the nerves the fight week.
Are we going to see this one go to the decision?
I can't see that happening. Like, past the first round, it'd be crazy, I think.
Great stuff. We're just about wrapping things up here at Fight Day Focus. Thank you very much, Mick. But before you go, we've got to talk about your fight, because you will be jetting off to Las Vegas. You're taking on Caio Machado. Yeah. Like, how's things going for this one, and what kind of fight are you expecting out of the newcomer?
Yeah, it's perfect. Everything's going good. Training with Tom, being a fight camp around him. I always get good training myself. It's been perfect, and I watched him originally. He won the Contender Series like me. I think this is his first UFC fight. Yeah, it's heavyweight MMA. He's definitely unorthodox to have watched. He's like crazy, he throws big bombs. It's heavyweight, so I'm definitely not stupid. He definitely hits hard. I can't be hit with anything stupid, but I feel like his style's a great matchup for myself.
Very excited to see you step back into the octagon, sir. But before you go, I've got to have it from you. I've got to get the predictions. Let's start with the main event for the light heavyweight title. Right. Who are you going for? What round? What method?
I'm going to go with Pereira.
Ooh.
I can see both guys win. It's a pretty close fight, but I do like Pereira and I like his style. I'm going to go with third round knockout.
Oh, I like it. And of course, one close to your heart. The co-main event, Tom Aspinall, Sergei Pavlovich for interim heavyweight gold. Who wins? What round? What's the method?
So obviously Tom.
Gotcha.
No surprise. I can see it going two ways. I can see him either getting a really early finish, like a knockout, or I could even see a submission. Maybe he's in the later rounds, like the third and fourth round. But the way Tom's fast starter, let's go. I can see a first round knockout.
First round knockout.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Listen, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing. Ladies and gentlemen, Mick Parkin, big fight coming up in Las Vegas, and of course, Eddie Hall as well. Thanks to him for stopping by. Well, it all goes down tonight from the Empire State, UFC 295. 2 pieces of gold on the line, and you can catch it on TNT Sports and of course on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Enjoy it. It's a big one. Thank you very much. We'll see you again.
Jiří Procházka is a knockout artist. 25 knockouts on his resume so far.
But Alex Pereira is a terrifying individual.
Tom Aspinall is here to become champion.
This guy possesses all the skills, but Sergei Pavlovich has power.
2 title fights for devastating strikers. Here we go.